remember this as the day you sailed with the Skull Rock podcast. Proceed at your own risk and mark well-be words, ladies. Dead men tell no tale.
Welcome to Skull Rock Podcast, the show about all things Disney and pop culture. Every week we take you behind the scenes of some of your favorite Disney films, theme park attractions, performances, books, music, as well as what's streaming, what's playing in theaters, and what's happening in this universe of entertainment. I'm Aljon Go. I'm a lifelong Disney fan, also loving pop culture. You can call me a pop culturist, and you can email me, Aljon, A-L-J-O-N, at skullrockpodcast.com.
And I'm Dave Bossert, artist, filmmaker, and author, as well as being in New York City right now. Welcome to the Skull Rock Podcast. If you love Disney and pop culture, please subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also like and follow us on Facebook, X, Blue Sky, Instagram, LinkedIn, and on our very own Skull Rock YouTube channel. You can also email me at dave@skullrockpodcast.com. Aljon, how are you?
Yeah,
You survived.
I'm good.
You survived St. Patrick's Day.
We survived. I wore green. I didn't get my ass kicked. I'm in good shape.
Okay, that's awesome.
I had some black and tans. I was in good shape. You know, I had some corned beef. Good luck. The luck of the Irish be with me this week. So we're in good shape. How about you, Dave?
Yeah, it was very good. We had an enjoyable time, and I'm about a quarter Irish, or maybe a little more than that. So it was a good week. As I mentioned, I'm up in New York, and continue to do a little bit of business up here every month.
That's great.
But we have a great show. We've got Tim Landry and Jerry Rees this week, actually for the next several weeks, talking about some really interesting projects around the theme parks. So
Wow.
I'm looking forward to that conversation. And we continue to get a lot more mail. And I just really want to say I appreciate our listeners sending in emails and dropping messages on Facebook and other social platforms. It's just really wonderful to hear from people and to hear people's stories. So
Yeah.
we're going to get to that in a minute. It's just we continue to plug away here.
No, that's good, Dave. I mean, I'm glad that people are getting those pieces of feedback to us. And once again, encourage everybody to email us. In fact, want to just head right into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Skull Rock Podcast answers your email.
First up, you've got something from South Africa, Dave.
We have a listener in South Africa who sent an email. He says, "Hello, Mr. Bossert." So I'm going to stop you right there. Don't call me Mr. Bossert, okay? That's like I'm looking around. Where's my father? Well, my father's dead, okay? So please call me Dave. He says, "I love your podcast channel so much. What's amazing is how human these stories are. Kevin Lima talking about how his grandmother introduced him to puppet theater and talking about his dad's drug addiction, or Rob Pratt, who talked about his mom's challenges and how he never went to art school. This podcast is amazing, and I am really enjoying the human stories. Keep them coming." That's Gerard from South Africa. Gerard, thank you so much for that. And you know what? We really do want our guests to talk about, their journey. And, those journeys often aren't smooth, to say the least. But, it just shows that regardless of where you're from or the obstacles you've had along the way, you can still become very, very successful, as many of our guests have.
I actually had a conversation with AI, Dave, in order for it to get to know each other.
Yes.
Right? I don't know if you've ever done this already, but you kind of have to train AI programs about how your brain thinks and about how you are. And one of the things that AI asked me to kind of get to know me was, what do you admire? Well, I actually asked it, what do you admire most about humanity? And it gave an answer, which was very good. And I said, well, mine is the fact that human beings are able to adapt. Adaptation leads to creativity, leads to love, compassion, caring, all that good stuff. But the adaptation, I think, of mankind makes us a standout in the universe. And I love the fact that our guests have learned to adapt. They are resilient. They continue to strive to contribute like you do, Dave. You contribute to the art form, filmmaking, animation, the pop culture in itself, but you allow these stories that we invite these people in to tell these stories, and they share their stories of how they can adapt and how they can thrive. And I think that, to me, is a very powerful message.
No, it absolutely is. And Aljon, we're all here for a finite amount of time, and we should make the best of it, and we should leave a mark on the world. Leave something, making it a better place in some
Agreed.
way, whatever way
Yeah.
that you can do it. Doesn't have to
Yeah.
be monumental, but just touching somebody, affecting somebody's trajectory through life, inspiring somebody, that those are all positive things that we put out into the world. And I think that's a great thing.
Thanks for listening, Gerard. I appreciate that. It's good
All right.
stuff.
So up next, we've got a note here. This came via email from Paul Goofy Pal in Claremont, Florida. He
Yeah.
says, Dave, just listen to that great interview Aljon did with the Destino expert. That guy really knows his stuff. In fact, it caused me to watch Destino, which I had never seen. It
Mm.
was interesting. The interview reminded me of a funny thing that happened to me when I was a lieutenant in the Air Force in 1984. Now, remember, I was 24 at the time and not nearly as knowledgeable as I am now. I was eating lunch with a female captain in the officers' mess. We were talking as we normally did, and she mentioned that she had bought a dolly for her husband's birthday. I knew her husband was a mechanic, so I said, "A dolly for working under the car?" She looked at me like I was an idiot, which I probably was, and said, "No, a Salvador dolly." Turns out her husband was a big dolly fan, and the Officers Club had an art auction, and she purchased a proprietary drawing Dolly had done for some paintings.
Mm.
I still laugh at myself when I think of that story. I wonder if she laughs about her office mate who confused a car dolly with Salvador Dali. Also, just binge watched Young Sherlock on Prime. Stars the actors who played young Thomas Riddle in two of the Harry Potter movies. Happens to be the nephew of Rafe Fiennes. Lots of plot twists and definitely sets up a season 2. Have a great week, and spring will eventually come to Long Island. Well, I'm in Delaware, but okay, Long Island's fine too. I have to be up on Long Island periodically. Thank you, Paul Goofy Pal from Claremont, Florida. That was via email. And then we got a nice note from our loyal listener, Erica in Alabama, who says, great episode. Looking forward to seeing you guys next month at Animation Y'all.
My
Well,
goodness.
Erica, we're looking forward to seeing you. And boy, your artwork is getting so great. I keep seeing you posting your artwork. It's fantastic. So
Good.
thanks
Yes.
for listening, everybody, and keep those emails coming. We enjoy getting feedback from our listeners. And once again, as Goofy Pal from Claremont, Florida, pointed out, he heard us talk about young Sherlock on the podcast on what we were watching, and that's segment, Aljon, continues to get people coming back to me all the time. We heard it when we were in Nashville last year. People
Yeah.
love that segment because they're finding out about shows they might not normally have heard about.
Yes, absolutely. It's a highlight for me every week to talk about this stuff.
Yeah,
And I love the feedback. So keep it coming.
yeah.
Once again, send us those emails, drop us those notes, leave us comments on our YouTube page, and we'll read them in an upcoming episode.
Pam, do you know, she wrote this great review of my poetry book.
That's my pick.
I read a great review.
Your girlfriend got a great review.
Oh, that's my pick, too. Sorry.
Excuse me while I start the projector.
Skull Rock Podcast, Picks of the Week. Dave, I feel like offering our listeners an opportunity to name every clip that I pull for this podcast. Said they could win a really cool prize because, I want to know. Okay,
Yeah,
gang,
maybe
where
we'll
do you?
let's do that later in the year because I have a new book coming out and we'll give away a couple copies of my books.
Ooh,
How's
exciting,
that?
exciting. I love it. I love it. So, yeah, better start looking up all those clips I pull for our podcast. But Dave, time for what you've been watching this week.
Yeah, I was going to try and go see Project Hail Mary in the movie theaters, and I didn't get a chance to see it, but a friend of mine saw it. He says it's awesome. He says it's an excellent film. I'm actually going to see it this week, and I'll talk about it next week. But I did watch a movie called Wrath of Man. Have you heard about this movie?
No.
I watched it on Netflix. It's from 2021. It's a Jason Statham film.
There you go.
It's just a very good action picture. Scott Eastwood is in it. Clint Eastwood's son, Josh Hartnett, is in it. Post Malone. A mysterious and wild-eyed new security guard for a cash truck surprises his coworkers when he unleashes precision skills during a heist. The crew is left wondering who he is and where he came from. Soon, the marksman's ultimate motive becomes clear as he takes dramatic and irrevocable steps to settle a score. I mean, it's a wild, wonderful action movie. Rotten Tomatoes gives it 68%, 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb, and 71% of people liked it. So if you're looking for a good Jason Statham action picture, it's directed by Guy Ritchie from 2021. Really enjoyed this one, I have to say, as I do with all Jason Statham movies.
Yeah.
On the small screen, I did watch some more episodes of The Pit, which is a realistic examination of the challenges facing healthcare workers in America as seen through the lens of the frontline heroes working in a modern-day hospital in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So the star is Noah Weil, who plays Dr. Michael Robbie. Catherine Laneza is Dana Evans. Sean Hatsi or Hatsosi. I can't even pronounce his last name. I butcher
Sorry.
people. Patrick Ball. It's a great ensemble cast. And this show has been picking up so many awards over the last couple months. This is a great show. If you haven't seen this show, you should watch The Pit. It's on HBO Max. It's fantastic. And then, as our friend Paul Goofy Pal from Florida said, he binge watched Young Sherlock. I finished watching Young Sherlock as well. By the way, Guy Ritchie directed a number of the episodes. This is an 8-episode series that stars, again, a great ensemble cast of people. Hero Fiennes Tiffin, who is the nephew of Rafe Fiennes. Max Irons, who's the son of Jeremy Irons. Joseph Fiennes, who's the brother of Rafe Fiennes. These are all terrific actors on their own. This is a wonderful show. I've really enjoyed it. A 19-year-old Sherlock Holmes finds himself entangled in a murder at Oxford that jeopardizes his freedom. His first case, tackled relentlessly, leads to him to uncover a far-reaching conspiracy that alters his path forever. Really enjoyable. It's action-packed, it's fantastic. Rotten Tomatoes gives it 83%. IMDb gives it 7.6 out of 10, and 71% of people who watched it liked it. Highly, highly recommend this show. It's just, twists and turns. It's really well shot, period piece. It's set in 1871, and it's just fantastic. I can't say enough about it. So check out Young Sherlock on Amazon Prime. That's all I've been watching, Aljon, because I've been traveling. But what have you been watching?
Well, I will say that in the background this week, I've been watching, once again, Becoming Led Zeppelin. If you missed my review early on last year for that film, I saw it in IMAX. It's amazing. So, Zeppelin fans, get the lead out. Check out the journeys of the four members of the Stairway to Heaven rockers through the music scene of the 1960s. And they're meeting the summer of 1968, culminating in 1970. This is just a fraction of the story, but it's so well done with archival footage never before heard, audio, interviews with some of the legends. John Bonham no longer with us, but still his voice is haunting. When you hear it, you can see the twinkle in Robert Plant's eye when he hears his voice for the first time, never hearing these recordings and interviews and discussing how the two of them had met and how the rest of the band had formed. Jimmy Page as a session player. And the footage looks absolutely amazing. Go out of your way to check that out on Netflix. It's
It
an amazing doc.
is really good. But, I hope that there's going to be a second one, like a part
Mhm.
two, because they don't go into the whole Stairway to Heaven.
Absolutely not. I mean,
Yeah.
I think this is just a portion of what we can see. And I would think that this would be another year for them to release, sequential year after year about Led Zeppelin because the fans want to hear about it and everything old is new again. And
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin can be discovered by a whole new generation of music fans, which I love.
There you go.
Bluey's Big Play is on Disney Plus. Maybe you've heard about all the Bluey stuff going on Disney. This show is made by ABC Australia, and this is an extended length episode of Bluey staged and filmed in a theater using human sized dolls and the original cast voices, watched by hundreds of spellbound children and parents. It is charming. It is done in a way that Disney fans already know. If you've seen The Lion King musical, if you've seen other productions of Finding Nemo there at the theme park and things of that ilk, then you're familiar with how this is done. The puppeteers are behind these dolls, these type of marionettes, etc. But they're huge. And so they're larger than life. It's so well done. And I can't wait for them to adapt this for the parks because I could totally see this in Hollywood studios and filling that theater full of children getting an experience of what live theater and musicals are all about. And I think for a lot of kids, that's kind of their first foray into actually going to see a play.
Yeah.
And I love it. So do more of it, adapt more, get the children into going to support the arts and going into seeing a stage play for the first time. They absolutely enjoyed it, and my kids certainly did. And you can stream that now on Disney Plus.
It's really, Bluey is just a wonderful series.
Mhm.
If you've not watched any of the episodes, I have. I've watched a number of them. I just find it to be just a very calming, wonderful show.
It really is. It's a family fare.
Yeah.
It's done at the highest level. I love the way they interweave classical music in there, which is really good. But I think there's so many levels to it, whether it's nostalgia, because I truly believe the makers of Bluey were born in Generation X because they play a lot of 80s in that. But I really feel it's super charming. And as a Generation Xer that has two children the same age as Bluey and Bingo, the two kids, I can relate because my wife and I are older parents. of being in our 50s and we have 5 and 6 year olds, running around the house. So I feel like the story of Bluey is a story of my life. So anyway, go out of your way to check that out. I continue to watch Boston Blue, and Dave, you're gonna laugh at me because it's like all the procedurals and the Matlocks that I watch every week. It's like, Aljon, are you 70? What are you doing watching this
You know
stuff?
what? Look, I will tell you, I've watched a couple of episodes of Boston Blue as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the same cop show. It's Blue Bloods, but set in
Yeah.
Boston, which Danny Reagan joins the Boston PD from NYPD and partners with Detective Lena Silver and the oldest daughter of a notable Boston law enforcement family. It's the same song and dance. It's still done really well. And I really, really, and while I don't like, the fact that they basically plucked Donnie Wahlberg from New York and moved him back to his real life, Donnie Wahlberg is a Bostonian, of course. It's hard to take that out of him, but he wanted to do a show in Boston and paired him with Sonequa Martin Green, which, by the way, she is such a star. I really love her acting. She was great in Star Trek. She was great in The Walking Dead. She just continues to work and work just nonstop.
Yeah.
And the whole ensemble is really great. Ernie Hudson's great. But if you like those police dramas, like the Law and Orders or the Blue Bloods, you're going to love this show. Continues to deliver very consistently for what it does. Matlock, on the other hand, also, once again, stealing the show. I love Matlock, and I think that it's a lot of fun to see that show.
Are you talking the one
Because-
with Kathy Bates, the new one?
100%
The new
Kathy
one.
Bates.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I watched that too. I didn't put that on the list, but it continues to drive drama. Very, very good drama. And once again, Jason Ritter, to see Jason Ritter, he looks so much like his dad. Dave.
Yeah, it's amazing.
He looks
Yeah,
spot on
yeah.
like his father. And the whole cast is great. But Kathy Bates, Jason Ritter, Sky Marshall, they're just outstanding actors. All right, Dave, I'm going to get into this because you, being the lifelong animation fan and film fan, can appreciate this. I was watching a video essay about Gen X kids' trauma watching animation as a child. And I have to admit, between the scene of Optimus Prime dying in Transformers the movie into watching one of your favorite films, Dave, Bambi, it's true. Our generation, okay, Gen X, who grew up watching things like Fox and the Hound, we were traumatized by the amount of death in films, and they didn't shy away from it.
Yeah,
Watership Down was made in 1978.
yeah,
If you're probably very familiar with this.
yes.
But hoping to escape destruction by human developers and save their community, a colony of rabbits led by Hazel and Fiver seek out a safe place to set up a new place to live. And it's freaking brutal. Like, I mean, this is like kill or be killed.
Yeah.
And the fact that these bunnies have a colony and it's about survival and they suffocate, trying to find their way into a new den for their lives. It's like insane. It's adult animation. It's hand drawn. It's really classic. I think it, that style of animation coming from, films that we had talked about, like heavy metal,
Yeah.
is kind of that vibe I got. And I hadn't seen this movie in a long time. And to be quite honest, Dave, I forgot about it until I saw this video essay and decided to revisit it. And I was kind of shocked, to be honest. I was like, I hadn't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, and
And-
you know what? It was directed by one of the directors anyway, is John Hubley.
Yes.
Who had worked at Disney and UPA and, had his own independent studio. His wife, Faith Hubley, also a filmmaker. They did a lot of films together. Really incredible, incredible artist with an incredible history in animation.
Mhm.
And the other director
Uh-huh.
was Martin Rosen, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. It's great stuff. And like I said, it's adapted from a novel. It was adapted really well.
Yeah.
for the silver screen, and then of course watching it on the silver screen on Pluto. By the way, you can stream it for free on Pluto. But yeah, watch it. Go out of your way to watch it. Don't watch it with the young ones. You watch it first, because I think it might give them nightmares. It's kind of one of those films. And when they say adult animation, this is what I'm talking about. Adult animation. Don't be fooled.
Yeah,
But watch
there's
it.
some terrifying moments.
There really are. And I had bunnies that lived in our backyard, and the four of them grew up. Our kids love the bunnies. They always go, when they were born, they went to see them. But I didn't tell them that one of the bunnies, was killed
Yeah.
in our backyard. And my wife and I had to bury, the bunny. And the kids were like, "Hey, where's our little bunny? Where's, little Cottontail?" And I didn't have I didn't tell them. You don't need to tell those kids that. But this is kind of the reality of things. And of course, it's a mirror on society as well. It's a really great look into it. So go out of your way to watch this
Well,
70s classic, Watership
I
Down.
was just going to read the synopsis. When a young rabbit named Fiver, is voiced by Richard Rees, has a prophetic vision that the end of his warren is near, he persuades 7 other rabbits to leave with him in search of a new home. Several obstacles impede their progress, including predators, a rat-filled cemetery, and a speeding river. Upon arriving at their final destination, a hill dubbed Watership Down, the rabbits find that their journey is still far from over. Realistically drawn, this British animated film carries an emotional weight. It does.
Yeah,
It really
it
does.
does. It does. I mean, that's life. It's really one of those things. And, you know, do you leave the confines of your cozy hovel, in order to find something new,
Yeah,
to
well,
find meaning in your life? I mean, I don't
you
know.
know what? Sometimes the grass is not greener on the other side.
As they will find out.
Exactly.
As they will find out. So go out of your way to check that out, gang. That's what we've been watching this week. And once again, if you send us those emails and maybe you have something you'd like to add to this conversation, let us know, and we'll check it out in a future episode.
Skull Rock Podcast. This week in Disney and pop culture.
All right, Dave, here we go. So you voted for the Oscars. We saw it happen. The Academy Awards happened last Sunday, right after we recorded our podcast. Were there any, I guess, surprises or anything that you'd like to mention?
I wouldn't say that there were really any surprises. I was happy to see some of the people that won win. I think, as I usually do every year, I get about 80% right on my ballot, which is pretty good, I think.
There you go.
You know?
That's pretty good, Dave.
Yeah.
That's betting. That's betting money. That's sportsbook. That's a sports bookie thing.
Yeah.
One battle after another won several awards at Sunday's
Yeah.
Oscars, including Best Picture, Director, and first ever casting award. And the movie that I saw, Sinners, Michael B. Jordan won for Best Actor,
Yeah.
who, by the way, celebrated at an In-N-Out Burger.
I
To
know.
everyone's delight.
It brought back memories because I've told that story here a few times,
That's right.
probably, about leaving the Academy Awards with Roy Disney and a few other folks and going and picking up burgers at In-N-Out. We didn't stay at In-N-Out and eat them like Michael B. Jordan did, but we picked up all of our burgers and fries from the In-N-Out and went back to Roy's house. So
You see, now that sounds like a plan to me. But I love hearing that story of you guys doing
and
that. It's
polishing
great.
off a magnum of red wine with it.
Hey, let's do that, please. Let's do that. That sounds like a really good pairing. So he won Best Oscar. That's his first Oscar. Great award speech. Jessie Buckley won Best Actress in her role of Harnett. Really good stuff. Ryan Coogler won Best Original Story Screenplay for Sinners. That is, I guess, a record 16 breaking nominations for Ryan Coogler. Well deserved. I love Ryan Coogler's work. Everything he does just touches his gold. Best Supporting Actress, Amy Magnin for Weapons, which was a great film as well.
And
Seemingly, yeah. Go
I
ahead.
mean, I was going to say I was thrilled that Amy Madigan won for Weapons, and I think it was it's one of the first times since I think Rosemary's Baby, like 50 years ago or something, where somebody won for a horror movie.
Right. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, and Sinners 2,
yeah,
Best
yeah,
Actor, I mean, those come from a horror movie genre,
sure,
disguised as a period piece,
yeah.
right? So it seems to me that maybe the Academy might be softening up a little bit and actually working on films that the general public really sees,
Yeah,
seemingly.
I was
The
I
original
was I
song,
was happy for
yeah, go
her. I
ahead.
was absolutely very happy for her. She's married to Ed Harris. They've been married for like 40 years. Ed Harris is
Hmm.
a Cal Arts graduate
There you
from
go.
my alma mater.
Absolutely. There you
Yeah.
go. There you go. Speaking of all your alma mater animated film, K-pop Demon Hunters scores big in there as well for best animated film.
Yeah, that
And
I
so,
think that might have been a disappointment for Disney Animation because K-pop was Demon Hunters was up against Zootopia 2, which Zootopia 2 is just, become the highest grossing animated film of all time.
yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely talk about that
Yeah.
for sure. I believe it or not, Dave, the kids have seen K-pop Demon Hunters. I have not.
Okay.
So that is
Which
something on my
did the
list.
kids like K-pop Demon Hunters better than Zootopia? I'm curious.
No, they love Zootopia.
Okay.
They love
Yeah, there you
Zootopia.
go.
I mean, K-pop Demon Hunters, like I feel like that's a little bit
Age.
it's not exactly age appropriate. They saw it with a babysitter,
Yeah.
and I wasn't really happy about that, to
Okay.
be quite honest, because Zootopia is kind of where I'm at. But we'll talk about that here shortly. I will talk a little bit about Zootopia 2, man. Zootopia 2, speaking of which, doing amazing things. But they are now on Disney Plus, Dave, and it works to number one, 32 million views globally in its premiere week,
Yeah.
as it would.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and check it out. Of course, it's been streamed over 885 million hours globally to date, as the press release reads from the 19th. So it's probably over a billion now, I would think.
Yeah.
Highest grossing movie, motion picture animated release of all time with $1.9 billion worldwide, still making money, Dave.
Yeah, no.
Still in theaters. I can't
And
believe
it's
it.
fantastic. I mean, I'm so happy. And again, I'm going to emphasize this is an animal picture. Animals talking and walking around like human beings. People love it. It's well written. It's hilarious. It looks beautiful, make more of those kinds of films. Stop making these humanoid pictures.
Exactly. And speaking of humanoid pictures, Dave, have you seen the box office for this week?
Yes.
Okay. So, Hoppers
Yes.
is a thing. Have you seen, are you making plans to see
Yeah, I want
Hoppers
to
at
go.
all
I
from
want to
Disney
I want to
Pixar?
see Hoppers in the theater, and I haven't had a chance to do it yet. I'm going to hopefully try and do it this week. I haven't been to the theater in about 2 weeks, so
Yeah, yeah, I know you've been super busy, but once again, Zootopia is still ringing in at the box office. And I will say this, Hoppers weekend gross alone, 28.6 million,
yeah.
86 million at the box office. It ranks number 1 for this week, but I thought it would have done more.
Yeah, but something, it's still doing better than, some previous films that came out of Pixar have done. And it looks fantastic. I can't wait to see it on a big screen. But the
Exactly,
number
same.
one movie is Project Hail Mary.
That's right. Project Hail Mary is still doing really, really good. And of course, that's what Dave reviewed earlier. I can't wait to see it myself. I'm looking forward to that. And there's a bunch of films, that I need to see, like Scream 7. Of course, there's Goat in there as well. We talk about that as well. Wuthering Heights. There's a bunch of really cool stuff that's going on. And believe it or not, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles celebrating, what is it, 35 years of Secret of the Ooze
That's
at
crazy.
$1.4 million. I mean, they re-released it, and that movie is so dated, but man, is it fun as a kid when I saw that growing up. It was really cool. Dave, what are your thoughts on Spider-Man?
Well, I thought the trailer was fantastic. I sent you a link to it earlier this week. It was incredible,
So
wasn't
good.
it?
And, anytime you do that, these trailers come out while I'm working, and I literally stopped. I said, hold the phone. I'm going to watch this trailer." I was not let down. The trailer is absolutely amazing. Tom Holland back as Spider-Man
Yeah.
in this much highly anticipated follow-up to No Way Home. Spider-Man Brand New Day up. Tom Holland's Peter Parker teaming up with Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner, the teacher at Empire State University. "Hey, Dr. Banner, can you tell me about what's happening with my body?" So strange. Why am I in a cocoon of spider webs? And of course, you've got the Punisher as well. So you're going to be seeing a lot of that. The Punisher. I know, right?
Well, Peter, do you like gladiator movies?
Right. Exactly. So you've got Holland's real life partner Zendaya, and there's of course a lot of rumors that they ended up eloping. But she is of course radiant as ever. Of course, also on the heels of the Doom 3 trailer as well. Zendaya, she's on a roll. This is going to be great. Brand New Day serves as a lead up to the hugely anticipated Avengers Doomsday coming in December. We're going to be seeing this. It's going to look really cool. This is going to be directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who helmed Marvel's Shang-Chi and The Legend of Ten Rings, which I thought was a great standout film in the MCU during the kind of COVID slump.
I
Right?
agree with you. I thought that was an excellent film.
Absolutely. Once again, the Punisher, John Barenthal, reprising his role from the Disney Plus series. Daredevil's going to be in it. Sadie Sink in a surprise role. I have an idea of who she's going to be. And so this is going to be really great. Brand New Day, Spider-Man Brand New Day in theaters July 31st for the summer blockbuster season, Dave. It looks great. Rounding out some Disney news, I'll go ahead and squeeze this in here. Let's talk about Hannah Montana, Dave. They say in this business, never say never.
Right.
And Hannah Montana 20th anniversary special is dropping, and the tagline is "From Me to Younger You." Hannah Montana 20th anniversary on Disney Plus and Hulu. And I can't say I'm surprised, because Miley Cyrus has been hinting about this on her social media, and I follow Miley. I think she's a brilliant artist, a wonderful performer, singer, but she almost started greenlighting this and promoting it before Disney even had any idea. She was like, I'm going to will this into existence, and she certainly did. And I think Miley Cyrus makes money for Disney Plus. All of her music specials and things that she's done over the years has done gangbusters for the streaming service. So people can check it out right now. There is a bonus tile of Hannah Montana collection for Disney Plus. So all you millennials or those millennials out there that remember Hannah Montana fondly, check out the collection and be on the lookout for this as it streams on Disney Plus. Let's see, when it's going to be released, Dave. I'm trying to see on the press release. March 24th. It's just a few days away, Dave, for that.
All right.
Looking forward to that. All right. So we talked about Disney. We talked about Marvel. Let's talk about Val Kilmer. So Val Kilmer passed away nearly a year ago.
Yeah.
And it seems to me like he is posthumously going to be coming back through the use of AI in a new film as deep as the grave. And this is done with the blessing of his family.
Yes.
This is not the first time filmmakers have used generative AI to bring an actor back. In fact, Peter Cushing was brought back, I believe,
In the Star Wars film.
in the Star Wars Rogue One.
Right.
I want to say maybe Disney was able to get maybe permission from the family. I can't remember if they did or not. They did this, of course, with Carrie Fisher as well, working with, her daughter as well, Billy Lord.
Yep.
So what do you say about this? Because apparently Val Kilmer wanted to do this movie so much and he wasn't able to complete the movie, and they're using AI to bring him back.
Look, I think it's fantastic if the family or the estate is buying off on it. And, this is one of those things where Val Kilmer was known to want to do this film, and they're completing his wishes because he didn't survive his battle with cancer. And, you know, the bottom line is, why not? He's an entertainer. And if the family, if Val Kilmer's kids have signed off on this, I think it's fantastic. And you're going to see
Right,
you're going
yeah.
to see more of this in the future. Look, Aljon, there are companies out there that have the rights to the celebrity likenesses like Humphrey Bogart and, people like that, where they're merchandising and making money for the family, for the estate of those actors or those entertainers. And so this is just the next step beyond that, you know?
Yeah.
And frankly, I think in my mind, it's better because you're bringing back somebody in an entertainment form, in a movie or a TV show, because that's what they did when they were alive, right? And so,
Yeah, they signed off on it.
yeah,
Yeah, they totally signed off
and
on it.
so as long as the appropriate people have signed off on these things, I think it's fantastic. I really do.
Variety had posted on Instagram, first look, Kilmer has been resurrected via AI to star in the movie As Deep as the Grave. Kilmer was cast in the movie in 2020, 5 years before his passing, but he was too sick amid his throat cancer battle to ever make it to set. Now the AI version of the actor is here, and it looks really good, Dave.
Yeah,
I'll be honest,
yeah.
it looks really good. And so, yeah, I mean, this is I almost feel like this is the actor's final wish,
Yes,
right?
it really is, and you know something, Aljon? The technology is there to do this really well. Let them do it as long as the appropriate people are signing off on it.
Yeah, sure. I'm with that. That's cool with me. All right, Dave. So here we are amidst all of this stuff that's happening in Hollywood. I have to say that The Bachelorette is a TV show that I haven't seen in several years. But as Josh DeMoro walks into the CEO seat, he has to deal with this gaffe. Is it time to end the Bachelor franchise? According to the Hollywood Reporter, this season, scraping scandal around Taylor Frankie Paul is just the latest example of long string of toxicity surrounding the ABC shows. Dave, she's kind of embroiled as one of these mommy TikTok influencers. And as I talked about with all of the reality and, crime series documentaries that I watch, she kind of is part of that whole situation of assault and other things that I can't really speak about without getting our show demonetized. So, Dave, what do you think about all this
Look,
stuff?
I've never been a fan of those shows. I don't watch those shows. I think they're ridiculous. But from a business standpoint, all this hoopla about pulling the Bachelorette over this video that surfaced of her throwing chairs at her, or her companion or whatever. Aljon, here's what I think is going to happen. I think they pull it. There's all this controversy. Everybody knows about the controversy. They're not going to lose $30 million over this. You know what they're going to do? They're going to let this simmer a little bit, and they're going to just put it on to Disney Plus or Hulu and let people watch it. And there's going to be a ton of people who are going to jump in and want to see it because of the controversy. This all boils down to money. And I find it hard to believe that they're just going to, pull the plug on it and not air those episodes. Of course, they're going to air them at some point because they don't want to lose their shirts on it.
Yeah. So this is a PR stunt in order to drum up
I think it
likes and
honestly,
views.
I think it is, And
Well, they knew,
should
yeah.
they get rid of Bachelor and Bachelorette? Of course, they're horrendous shows.
Horrendous shows that millions of people like myself used to watch. And
but I still view
no,
it.
no,
I
no,
still
that's
view it
fine. I
as a
don't care.
terrible. They're a time suck.
Dave, you're talking to a guy that watched Human Centipede, for heaven's sake. You know, I mean, I watch a bunch of crap. So there you go.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yes, I'm sure they're going to find a way to monetize it, you know, for good, bad, or indifferent. They'll certainly do that.
They're in tribute.
Skull Rock Podcast.
You know, you're like that little arrow on your hat, straight and shining, and that's the way I'll always remember you.
I'll always remember you. I'll always remember you.
I'll always remember you, Sharon.
They hang you, I'll always remember you.
In memoriam.
All right, here's our roll call for this week, Dave. Let's first start with Chuck Norris, shall we?
Yes.
Shall we start with
let's
Chuck Norris?
yeah, I have to tell you, Chuck Norris was such a huge part of my childhood.
Yeah.
I mean, all of those great movies.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember Chuck Norris first because my grandparents were such big Bruce Lee fans. And so we would watch, I guess back AMC used to do these marathons of Bruce Lee movies.
Yeah.
And we would have Game of Death or, you know, The Big Boss or whatever would come in. And then here comes Chuck Norris as one of the final bosses fighting in the Acropolis or something like that with Bruce Lee. And it's Karate Master versus Kung Fu Master. And it was just like an amazing fight scene of them just battling out like two Roman gladiators. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And that was my first introduction to Chuck Norris. And later, Chuck Norris, Texas Ranger, or the action films that he was involved in, you know, right there in the Reagan era, Rambo, he's up there with, you know, machine guns and just, just kicking ass on the big screen.
The Walker Texas Ranger show.
Walker Texas Ranger.
You know, I mean,
absolutely.
huge.
You know, absolutely. So it's but I think the cool thing is that he lives on in the pop culture zeitgeist because of the memes that we're talking about.
Yeah, you know something, this is the thing I loved. I loved the fact that, you know, he hadn't been making too many films in recent years, but he had become a pop culture sensation through Chuck Norris facts, right?
Yes.
And there was a kid in college who came up with this whole Chuck Norris facts shtick, really, that turned into a book, that turned into several books, and he just became sort of like part of the college scene.
Absolutely. I mean, that is pop culture.
Yeah.
When you are basically known for these Chuck Norris quotes, those facts, if you will. And he came back, you know, I mean, in the early mid aughts, you know, he came back with the Expendables as well.
Sure.
You know, I mean, Stallone brought him back. He was in there with all these 80s action stars. And The Way of the Dragon with Bruce Lee is the film I was trying to reference earlier. And gosh, man, I mean, all the Walker Texas Rangers you mentioned. And Delta Force. And Delta Force 2. Series of films. Yes.
Yes, there was two of them. But, you know, again, you know, the fact that he embraced the Chuck Norris facts, he would read some of them on Instagram. They were plastered on hoodies and coffee mugs and posters and, you know, throughout the colleges. It was just absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely. Page 6 mentions he passed away following a medical emergency, and the family shared that he passed away peacefully. Of course, all the celebrities came out, including his Bowflex co-star Christy Brinkley, his other castmates from The Expendables as well.
Stallone,
it's very sad
everybody,
indeed.
yeah.
Stallone, everybody did. Nicholas Brendan from Buffy the Vampire Slayer starred dead at the age of 54, Dave. I am shocked. Nicholas Brennan, known to play Xander Harris on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, passed away. I know him also from Criminal Minds. He was on there for many years as well. According to X, we are heartbroken to share the passing of our brother's son, Nicholas Brendan. He passed away in his sleep of natural causes, his family wrote. Most people know Nicky for his work, an actor of the characters he's brought over the years. He found his passion for painting and art. He loved to share his enthusiastic talent with his family and friends. And of course, there is promo pictures of him and Buffy the Vampire Slayer with Sarah Michelle Gellar and David Boreanaz as well. Of course, the rest of the cast came out to pay tribute to their fallen friend. But over the past few years, I know that he's had his demons, battling his demons, so to speak.
But this was
very, very sad.
He had a hereditary or congenital heart condition, and I believe that's what caused his death.
Exactly. He battled Cauda equina syndrome.
Yeah.
For where he underwent several spinal surgeries.
Yeah, so he had the spine issue, but he also had a heart condition.
Heart defect. Absolutely. Yeah, very, very sad indeed. And so young, 54 years of age. I mean, he's my age, Dave. Oh, so sad. Host Kiki Shepard, an actress at Showtime of the Apollo, dead at the age of 74. Beloved co-host of the iconic music show, suffered a massive and completely unexpected heart attack in LA on Monday. She was born in 1951 in Texas. She was a professional dancer before becoming a fixture in America across the 15-year run on the legendary Fox variety show Showtime at the Apollo. Yeah. Wow, Dave. Oh, so sad. And yes, she's definitely going to be missed. What a great attitude. She lived for life. She's been in different shows like NYPD Blue, Grey's Anatomy. Everybody hates Chris, as well as Baywatch, to name a few.
Yeah, apparently she died of a heart attack.
Very sad, very sad. Also, nearing the 90s in the age bracket, Matt Clark from the Back to the Future franchise has passed away as well, known for his role as Chester the bartender. In the third movie of the trilogy, he passed away to complications of back surgery.
Yeah, he's his name may not sound familiar, folks, but when you see his face, you go, "Oh my gosh, I've seen him in a million things." He was a great character actor.
Absolutely.
Really was in a lot of iconic films over the years. And
yeah,
I just, it's just kind of sad.
It is. I'm going to do a screenshot because I forgot that I can do this now. But you can certainly see him. Here he is on the big screen with Brubaker. There he is, there.
And he was in Jeremiah Johnson, A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Oh, yes, there he is right there. Back to the Future Part 3 in 1990. And you know his face. He's just a fixture. And as you said, character actor as well. So sad indeed. So sad. And then last bit that we have here, actress Judy Pace, Dave. Brian Song and influential blaxploitation actress Judy Pace passed away at the age of 83. And there she is.
Yeah.
1971. And you'll know her from those blaxploitation films, according to her family. She died peacefully in her sleep. And here she is in 1970s. Colton Comes to Harlem. Beautiful there. Look at that. One of her famous roles was in 1971's TV movies Brian's Song. Everybody saw Brian's Song back in the 70s. Won multiple Emmys and a Grammy, Dave. And boy, that wraps up our list. I mean, 2026 has been really hard for the celebrities.
Wow, it really has been.
Certainly. Well, let's kick back now and relax. It's time for our main event. Tim Landry and Jerry Rees talking about Disney attractions. Dave, it's our interview of the week right here on Skull Rock Podcast.
Let's do it.
Hey, let's chat.
Let's chat afterwards. Let's chat. And he said, let's chat again.
Skull Rock Podcast. Interview time.
Well, Aljon, we have not just one, but two distinguished guests this week. We've got Tim Landry, who is an effects artist, a filmmaker, and an author. And we've got a returning guest, Jerry Rees, who I'm going to spend a few minutes here say he's a producer, a director, a writer, a story artist, an animator, a great artist. I mean, I could just keep going on, Jerry, but I think our audience has the picture. You are sort of an all-around Renaissance man, and you've done some pretty amazing projects that Tim has been involved with. And we may talk about a few of those projects that I was involved with. I don't know.
Yes.
You know,
It's all up for conversation.
Yeah. So I want to welcome both of you to the Skull Rock podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
So guys, you know, I always look at filmmaking or any of the projects that were done for the theme parks and stuff as a team effort. It's not one person. Sure, you have a team captain or multiple team captains, but it's a group of really talented folks that get together. And I wanted to start out just by talking because you had both sent me links for some projects. And the one that kind of jumped out to me was Mystic Manor over in Hong Kong Disneyland, which I think we all probably touched at one point or another.
Right.
But you guys did some amazing stuff on that. And I'd like to start out with Mystic Manor, but we're going to jump around and talk about a bunch of different things. Okay. So
cool.
Who wants to start first? Jerry? Tim?
Well, Jerry was on the project before I was, so he should lead off with the history of Mystic Manor.
Well, I was called in. Joe Lancicero, dear friend, called me in and said, okay, there's this place called Mystic Manor. We're pondering whether we should pull the trigger on spending the money to make it. It's like there is a critical moment, a powerful finale moment, and we're trying to make sure that measures up so that everybody feels like it was worth making the journey to come here and see it. And we always want people to feel satisfied, but we're not sure we're there yet. So we'd like you to take a stab at what that might be. And
Jerry, we should tell our listeners, Mystic Manor is kind of the haunted mansion, right? Of Hong Kong Disneyland to some degree.
That's a good way we describe it. Over there culturally, there's much more interest in spells and that sort of thing rather than ghosts. So, having a runaway spell in the hands of an impish little monkey who lets it out of a music box that he's not supposed to touch was a great way to get the engine going for the mystery and the chaos and the final redemption that happens in that project.
And that's really one of the things about the Disney parks going to other cultures overseas is that there are those differences, right? Because they don't really sort of believe in haunted houses, but they believe in their ancestors living someplace, right?
Right.
And mysticism and spells and that kind of thing.
Right. So, and by the way, as we talk further today, we're going to hit that in the projects Tim and I did together. Not only this one, but the Cinemagique for France. We definitely had French people along the entire time to keep us culturally attached, and Fantastic Flight, Soaring Fantastic Flight, which I'm wearing this cert for Sky Falconry, where we trained with our falcons to get ready for that project. That we were being very attuned to the Japanese sensitivity and market and all of that. So each one brings its the context that fits the best for the audience. So anyway, I was sent home to they called it my creative cave. And so I rattled my brain and came up with some things like some of the story beats where Albert tries to desperately put the magic back in the music box at the end to try to redeem himself, and came up with the notion of the breakaway wall so that you could feel like the storm is going beyond this room, and it makes you feel like, wait, I thought I was seeing sort of projections in here, but there's a whole world out there after it breaks through and everything. So I brought that back in. Joe and everybody took a review. Everybody jumped in and sort of loved the new energy that was happening with it. So I started doing previous stuff, and they were like, who do we turn to make this stuff real and ready to play in front of the audience? Working off my temps. And Tim was the magic man.
And Tim, tell me what it was. What happened? You got a phone call from Jerry, said I got a job for you.
I worked for a department, and we were treated sort of like a service bureau. And they need magic, they get us on the phone. So my boss told me to go take a meeting, and so I started getting up to speed on this project.
And that was a department within Imagineering.
Correct.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was always a challenge to me was being brought in so late. The earlier that we in my department were brought in, the more we could help. We're kind of playing catch up the way it works. And that is the way the visual effects world often works, or it did when I was working in it. You always try to play catch up.
And just for our listeners, just so they know, you've got a very deep background in visual effects. I mean, you worked on Star Wars, not Star Wars, but Star Trek.
A little bit, yeah.
You won an Emmy for visual effects.
For a pilot for Amblin.
Yeah. So you're deeply rooted in the visual effects world, both television and film.
Correct. And I deeply love illusion, but I also deeply love storytelling, and I want stories to make me laugh and cry. And Mystic Manor is one of those that had that possibility. In fact, looking back on it, I think it's one of the best, most linear, most satisfying storylines of any attraction I've ever worked on. It's a full 3-act play.
Is that a compliment to Jerry?
He put in a whole bunch of it. I don't know which pieces came from where.
Well, definitely, I worked to put Albert back in the finale emotional thing of realizing he had, he was having fun, let the magic loose. But
Albert's the monkey.
Albert's a little mischievous monkey.
The little through line.
And yes, sometimes he's audio animatronic, occasionally he's animated, but he is the little imp that lets the magic out of the cursed music box. And at first it just seems whimsical and fun and everything's coming to life, but then it turns into a storm. And by the time we get into the biggest chamber, it's a storm that breaks the wall open, literally. Yeah. And through that break in the wall, you see Albert desperately trying to catch onto the music box where all the crazy magic now is spilling out. And in the final scene, he's finally wrestling it back into the box and closes it just before the human, that his companion, opens the door and doesn't know that anything went wrong. So that through line of having you feel like Albert really tried to redeem himself was something that I was happy to bring back in. So I think Tim really played off of that beautifully.
And the attraction, the guests are in a ride vehicle,
a trackless ride vehicle that can turn 360, and so you start out thinking that you're going to be attached to the person ahead of you, but you can take separate paths suddenly, and you can turn to look anywhere in the room.
And so yeah, go ahead, Tim.
There are multiple paths as well. Depending on what car you're in, you're going to take a different track.
So guests who go through the attraction multiple times can have multiple experiences.
Correct.
Yeah.
It boils down to 4 experiences because it's 4 different cars in a group.
Okay, got it. So the 4 cars go in and then go their separate ways.
Yeah, so you could say, "Oh, you got in the front car, darn it!" And then what do you know? You go first, and then they go second, and you split up and don't even see each other, and then you're back together. So it's crazy fun.
Wow. Okay. Take us through some of the effects that were done in Mystic Manor, and in particular, one of the things I'm thinking of is the Hercules vase.
Right.
That was one, and then Medusa's head, which I think is really kind of a pretty fantastic effect.
It's brilliant because it's so simple.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think some of the most brilliant things that you see in Disney park attractions are simple.
Well, and I started by doing the previs on the Greek vase, for example, looking at art from the time. So wanted to make and at the time I thought my stuff would remain just a temp and a what if, but Tim took a lot of the elements, embraced them, and actually pushed them forward through the process and gave it his magic touch on top of it. But I felt a responsibility to try to really look at the art from the time and try to capture that, but make it a little bit playful. And so I would animate things in mini layers of After Effects and kind of the time before they really had 3D layers, but I would work hard to make it appear to be 3D layers. And and think up little extra things that might make it unexpected for the audience. For example, in the Greek vase, I thought it'd be fun if there's a silhouette of Hercules fighting with a lion. And as the lion takes a swipe at him, Hercules jumps straight up. And so the painting is going up the side of the vase, but then the top of the vase stops. And I thought it'd be fun to have the silhouette of the character continue out into the air above the vase. And so that was done with a flat figure that was waiting, hiding inside of it to peek up over top and then go back down and coordinate with the animation in sync. So,
the guest just says, "What did I just see?"
Yes, I keep.
I'm gonna have to write this again.
Yes.
Yeah, because
So that kind of stuff.
Yeah, some of these things happen so quickly, and then the ride vehicle's moving.
Right.
You get that impression, and you're like, you don't know, you don't have a moment to study it or to see how they did it.
Right.
One of the really interesting things about that particular illusion is it starts off with this vase that is wobbling. It's constantly wobbling as if it's going to fall over. So you're saying, okay, if that's a projection, how are they doing that?
And how are they doing that?
Well, the projector is basically on a pendulum, a rod below the deck, and it's shining its light up into the vase and into a hemispherical mirror that throws the image out all around the vase.
So it's a rear projection from inside.
It's a rear projection from inside.
Got it.
Only there's no projector inside the vase itself.
Right. The projector's below.
Correct.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And then we did some other fun things, like we wanted this sort of feeling of pixie dust, if you will, but like it's charming, but then it turns dangerous as it's enchanting these things, because the spell has kind of a mischievous edge to it. And it seems like it could get dangerous. And there was actually a laser projection over top of physical objects and projected objects. There was actually laser light hitting to be some of those points. But Tim and I did this brain sort of exercise where we said, what if it's completely different in the character of its movement than the Tinkerbell pixie dust? And that seems immediately just enchanting and safe. But we came up with this movement that instead of trailing off the leading edge, would almost do like claw-like, I'm going to eat you movements toward the front of where it was moving. So it was like, I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you, you know. So that was a very different way to treat the little sparkling dots. So they started out where you're like, oh, I know this, it's pixie dust. And they were like, wait, that's acting weird. So Tim did some really fun experiments with that.
And you know, I just want to step back for a second, because you mentioned Joe Lynn Cicero, and he's an old friend of mine too. And was he in charge of Hong Kong Disneyland for Imagineering, or was he in charge?
I'm not
of the
sure
land?
what his
I think
overall
he was. I think he was in charge of a lot of stuff in Asia, as well as the boats, the cruise ships.
The cruise ships over there. So
I just knew he was my buddy that I went to school with, who was giving me a call and going, hey, try to work on this.
Smart guy, that Joe.
How much time did you guys spend on Mystic Manor? Do you recall? I want our listeners to have a sense of how long some of these projects often take.
Do you remember, Tim?
When you're in Imagineering, time just stands still, and you just focus on the moment. And you can come back and forth and in and out on a project over years.
Yeah.
Well, and I actually segued into filming a project in North Carolina, a live action film that I co-wrote. And while I was working on that, I was receiving really slowly in those days, in like 2012 or 13, what was it? Something like that. I was receiving renderings of the projected wall in Mystic Manor with silk paintings.
2010.
Tim was sending me. And so the hotel wondered what the heck I was doing getting these big sends. And then I would look at my laptop and try to look at this little strip that was represented the projection all the way around the room.
Right.
And so you can imagine that looked very thin. So I would get really close to the screen and send Tim notes back and forth. So that was during a whole other production. And then when I came back from directing that live action film, I was still working on it as we finished that off, and we did some things with vendors. We did some stuff in house.
Yeah.
Tim, I remember some stuff we would just bring in house and do right there at Imagineering with you.
Let's talk for a second about the Medusa head, and can one of you guys describe the Medusa heads verbally so our listeners can understand what it is?
Well,
Because
it's a mosaic, and it's supposed to be from the time that Vesuvius erupted, um, around that same era. So I looked up a bunch of mosaics, tried to be as true to that era as possible, but made a face that was original. I wasn't copying any particular face, and the trick was to try to make in the actual mosaic pieces a true representation of a kind figure, a female figure, portrait basically, and then to have it be the Medusa snake sticking out version, but to do it where the mosaic pieces themselves, if you did an A/B color change for them, would actually make both images happen. So it wasn't just like project one, project the other. I tried to be true to little mosaic pieces that if they just changed color next to each other would make two different faces and hair or snakes. And then to have the snakes, once they appear, be able to fold out of the most flat mosaic partly into the room to feel like they're going to come get you. So that was the basic.
And what was nice about Jerry's design is that it had the whimsy that the Haunted Mansion materials all have. It's scary, but it makes you smile at the same time.
scary but fun.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. And man, we've done that a number of times with projects, and I'm glad that we can all snap into that space.
Talk a little bit about how the snakes, because you're talking about a flat mosaic, but the snakes themselves swing out. They're hinged, so they actually
Yeah.
come off of the mosaic as mosaic snakes.
Yeah. So if you if you imagine, drawing it in 2D and then cut into the mosaic where the shape of the snake is. And so if you pull that snake out, it leaves a negative space where it used to be sitting. And so you prepare that recess for it to sit in. Then you put it in and hinge it so that it's ready to swing out from one side. So it can get pretty far. If you take the hinge point and then the head of the snake comes out towards you, it can get pretty far. So it was
I was going to say
almost like a puzzle.
Yeah, when the snake head comes out, you also, this is the attention to detail that Disney is so known for when they do attractions. When the snake heads come out towards the audience, what's left behind is aged looking,
Marble.
stone or marble material, right?
Right. You hope it looks like the ancient thing that the mosaic maker was working with when he or she originally glued the pieces on, and that's left exposed when they come out. So you never want it to look fabricated. You want it to look from the original time and the original materials.
Yeah. What else did you guys do in Mystic Manor?
Oh, a big one. You want to talk about the silk paintings in the big storm room?
Yeah, we had a vendor to do some of the 3D work for us. And we basically supplied designs of what these silk paintings should be. They animated them so that they were blowing in the wind. And they also animated a CG version of Albert, the monkey. So he gets handed off from projection to animatronic, and I think it's a pretty smooth handoff in that particular scene.
And the big picture of what's happening is that as you've been through the don't touch the music box because it's got a spell, then Albert impishly letting it out and going like, oh, it's fun. And then you see it get worse and worse. And pretty soon awful things are happening. And Albert is actually getting his costume kind of torn by some of the chaos that's happening. So by the time you get to this last big room, there's a big physical sculpture in the middle of the room of the Monkey King. And he's has a big staff and he's pounding it and sending magic which is now out of control as a storm that swirls around the entire room you're in. So when the four vehicles, which have gone on separate paths, rejoin together in this room, they're now swirling around like they're in the storm soup and spinning different directions from each other. So you and your friends are now back together, but chaotically spinning, and you have this whole world around you. And it's a silk painting gallery, and it starts out gentle, but the storm gets worse and worse. So they're blowing enormously in the wind until they actually start ripping. The paintings are ripped so hard by the wind and the magic that they tear. And we actually had one of the paintings had a picture of a panda family, and the little baby panda gets blown out of its silk painting across the wall and across through other paintings, and finally smacks against the back wall. And that's where Albert has been hiding behind his silk painting. So when the little panda goes whack, it's like Albert looks out from behind the painting like, what was that? And it was the panda that got blown out of the other painting into the one he was hiding behind. Now the Monkey King sees him. There you are. Boom, smashes a blast right at him, and the wall breaks open behind Albert. And now he's lost in the storm, sees the music box going by, grabs it, and is swept out of sight. So that's a big room where you and your friends are just lost in the storm. Right. And just one thing I would note here is I was so happy, Tim and I did this strategy of having the little panda leave its painting, go across the wall through other paintings to lead the eye to Albert, purposely, because we were trying to get everybody to pay attention. There's so much chaos going on. We thought, how can we lead the audience's eye? So
it's hard to focus on theater in the round.
Yes. Dear friend Keith Gluck, who has a podcast of his own, he told me, I'm going to go see this in the park. I don't want to hear anything about it from anybody. And so he texted me from right outside Mystic Manor. He sent a picture of himself, and he goes, I went through with 3 friends. We all got in separate cars. We got into that big storm. We're all spinning and separate from each other, but every one of us saw Albert exactly at the moment he was hit. So did you and Tim fly the panda out and lead our eye to that point? And I sent back, yes, I'm glad you noticed. So
that's awesome.
So now, one thing that should be noted about that room is you're in the middle of 360 projection. You've got 21 different projections going on at the same time. And the scene is 53 seconds long. And I did the math, and I figured out that there's enough pixels in there for a feature film.
Holy mackerel.
That play out over 53 seconds.
Is it safe to say it's similar to a circle vision type of attraction, that room?
Well, except that there's no visible screen. Yeah. It's all just projected on the architecture so that you don't even think about screens.
So you don't even know where the projectors are. You can't really see them.
No.
We actually do a handoff between a wallpaper that's printed, and that same artwork is used to depict wallpaper in the projection.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't tell where one leads off and the other ends. So
I was amazed by that. When we did a test in the Imagineering offices, I was astounded that I could walk right up to it and not be able to tell the real wallpaper, the projected wallpaper. It was brilliant.
And this wasn't even 4K. This was only high def.
You brought up something interesting, Jerry, and that is a lot of these types of things that are done for attractions at the parks are actually tested out. Like there's a mock-up done in, a section or a room at Imagineering in Glendale. And I remember they had it was sort of a circle vision type of a setup in one of the buildings, but it wasn't a full circle vision. It was like a quarter of a circle vision.
A third.
Yes, and then there was another facility called the Dish. There was another facility called the Dish with stereoscopic 3D projection. You'd wear glasses, and it would have a tracker that you'd wear on a hat, and it would only make the marriage of the stereoscopic 3D good for you. So if other people were in, they couldn't see it. It wouldn't merge, but one person at a time could see a stereoscopic 3D envisioning of it. But it was all gray models. Yeah. So I rendered out some of my lit previous stuff and asked them to map it into that so that for the key scenes, when people would ride through, they really would feel the drama. So
Yeah, it's amazing. But doing those kinds of mock-ups, and it reminds me of a story about when they were first developing Star Tours for
Right.
Disneyland. They created a platform in the parking lot at Imagineering that was sitting on essentially a flight simulator. It was like 3
Right.
legs underneath the platform. They put some theater seats in, and they covered it with black cloth, and they had a screen up front, and it was a roller coaster. I don't know if were you there? Did you ride that mock-up?
I don't remember that particular one. No. But I rode other mock-ups.
Because I rode that one, and the film was a roller coaster. So they had programmed the flight simulator to the roller coaster.
Yeah.
And I remember Michael Eisner, Frank Wells, and Jeffrey Katzenberg got on and rode it. And apparently Frank got sick.
Well, yeah,
And
it could happen.
And the story goes that after he got sick, Michael was like, "This is great. We got to do it." So, but I think that's always kind of a cool thing for people to hear, is that some of the really polished effects or attractions that you see at the parks sometimes start out at these sort of mocked up, kludged together type of things, either in a building or in a parking lot that are being tested out to see, can we make this work?
Yeah, I remember actuators being tested in seats for extraterrestrial alien encounter. And so I had one of the actual theater seats in a back hallway at Imagineering in Glendale, and they had received a actuator that didn't do what all of us thought it would do. They're like, well, it promised this subtle approaching footsteps thing, and it doesn't do that at all. So here's like a keyboard. You can find different frequencies and sit in the seat and find something. So I was just sitting there. People would walk by, and I was sitting there going, hitting different buttons. Finally, I found one where you swear that somebody kicked the back of your seat, and I was like, oh, there's something. So I put a voice behind you going, "Hey, alien, eat this one." And boom, you feel the kick, like you swear that person kicked the back of your seat. Not went in the show, but it was just sitting in a hallway experimenting with the tools.
And it's a happy accident.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. I want to talk, if we can, shift gears, and let's talk about the pre-show for Soarin', which the pre-show is very different, and again, cultural considerations for it, right?
Yeah, and let me start, and I'm going to let Tim talk a lot about this particular set of illusions, because he really was a mastermind for it. I was helping with the timings and working with our performer Stasha Surdike, but Tim was like the wizard of what was paintings, what was shadow, that was faux shadow, that was actually projected things, but it was all about storytelling, about the interior. And all I'll say, just as a lead in, so I'll be the pre-show to Tim's talk, is they got in touch with us after it opened, and they told us, we don't typically, in our park, it's mostly like 90+% locals, and
this is
Tokyo,
Tokyo
Disneyland.
So
And it was all in.
I'm sorry, is it Disney Seas or
Disney Sea?
Disney Seas, right?
Disney Sea. Yeah. And so it was all spoken in Japanese. So Stasha had to learn phonetically to speak 2 slightly different shows. It was amazing what she did. But we were told that usually there isn't a public expression of emotion in a park setting like that. But they got in touch with us after it was playing for a couple of weeks and said, we are routinely seeing people in a positive way wiping tears from their eyes because they feel so inspired by the character and the storytelling. So I was so glad that Tim, that whole shadow storytelling thing that you came up with really worked. So why don't you describe how that works?
Yeah, and Tim, describe the action and then, the process of
Okay, the scene is we're going into a gallery in what is ostensibly a museum of flight, of fantastic flight. And in this one gallery, which is really a holding tank, getting ready to actually board the car in the main theater, we see a bunch of paintings and exhibits on the walls of artifacts from the life of this um, pioneer aviatrix named Camelia Falco. And we also have up front a big portrait of her that comes to life and starts talking to us. But in the course of coming to life, it also has to be 3D. In other words, they wanted us to see that she's one plane and there's a bunch of other stuff behind her. The world is coming to life, even though she started life as a painting here. And we had, I believe, 11 projectors covering this area. There was 4 of them just behind her in this box of scenery that could be revealed at a certain point to make it 3D.
So imagine inside the painting, it looks like a flat painting, and then the painted character stays where she is, but around her, all the environment drops back and becomes physical, where people are looking around and going, "Oh my God, I can look behind her into her world." So,
and of course, pixie dust does the reveal. You got to have pixie dust.
Of course.
Yes,
Of course.
this time dispensed by a falcon.
But one of the other specifications for this gallery was that this whole wall had coverage with projection, plus several of the hanging pictures on that wall are monitors, and some of them aren't. So again, one of my challenges was to make sure that the monitors don't look like monitors, they look like a framed picture. And that was some of the stuff I had developed for another iteration of this attraction like 5 years before, but I took what I learned and brought it forward and was able to make that illusion work. But when we had a couple of the whole wall I knew was covered with projection, but the specifications from the show team, we didn't really have concepts of what we were going to do with those projectors. And I just said, as long as we're covering that area, let's use it, man. Let's put lots of magic in there. And so pretty much every phrase that the lady in the painting talks to us about is illustrated. And I decided to use silhouettes and shadows to depict some of the concepts that she's talking about. And sometimes it's limited to a certain area, and sometimes it's across the way. We got clouds and things moving across.
But the
But
one thing
imagine one little painting of like balloons at a fair, like hot air balloons and stuff, and it's inside of a painting. But now in the painting, the hot air balloon starts to rise, and it reaches the frame, and as it reaches the frame, it becomes a shadow that continues over the frame and goes up the wall, where the entire balloon can fly away as a shadow that's telling you the story.
And I got to sit in the theater with an audience once, and they freaked out at that moment, which is, in the course of that show, a pretty minor moment, but they can't believe what their eyes are seeing. Things are coming to
And they
life
put up
and
their
leaving
hand,
the
and their
frame.
hand casts a shadow too.
Right.
So it's like they see their own shadow, and they see the shadow of the storytelling. It's amazing.
And this is also where you have a falcon fly and land on the hand of the woman in the painting.
Correct. I came up with a convention where anything inside a frame was full color, anything outside the frame on the wall was a shadow.
Yeah.
And so when you come up to the edge, if you put your hand outside of your frame, your hand becomes a shadow, but it keeps the motion and the composition going, so you understand what the character is doing. They're not getting their hand chopped off at the edge of the frame.
Yeah.
And you have so we started with the scene with a sculpture of the falcon, Aletta. And in the mythology, Aletta was, a sort of a companion in flight for Camelia Falco, who was a pioneer of flight. And she would study things that flew in nature. She'd look at butterflies and little seeds that would spin as they fall from the tree, whatever seemed to talk about flight. And she would build gliders and even try to fly them, and had like a broken bone and had to let it heal up. So she's quite the pioneer of flight. And so Aletta was her companion in the air, if you will. So you start with paintings of all these things that she's observed and a painting of her, and then a sculpture of Aletta the Falcon in the room with you. And that takes on a special glow. It's projected on, and it sprouts a shadow on the wall behind it, where it's like, of course, a light hits the sculpture, it makes a shadow, but the shadow sprouts wings, and then it flies away and goes up around the room and casts pixie dust that falls down into the picture of Camellia, and that awakens her. And then she looks around and she's like, oh, there's Aletta. And Aletta comes as a shadow hurtling towards her painting, and then as she flies in, becomes full color and lands on her glove, and they're reunited. So Aletta coming alerts her that, look, the guests are here and they need to hear you talk about flight and how it's it really is like a metaphor for following your dreams, and that you can soar as high as you want if you try hard enough. And so that's how it starts. And to have her, from her painting, aware of everything, she's spinning the story that you're seeing all the shadows tell.
Yeah.
So she is aware of everything outside of her painting, so she'll look and see the stuff happening in the room with us.
What I think is really amazing is the amount of effort and the time and the money that they have put into doing pre-shows in recent years, because I think that is really something that is helping the guests when they have to wait an hour and a half to go into an attraction, is to be occupied in the line with stuff, whether that's
And especially when it's storytelling stuff.
yeah, when it's magical effects, it's related to the attraction, it's preparing the guests to go into the attraction.
And in this case, where you have a guest actually saying they were moved to tears before they got on the main show, that's a pretty good prep for the main show.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And something else they did about, you're talking about the work that goes into it.
Yeah.
I was so happy with our team, our all the people that were involved with it, to bother to take us out to Sky Falconry and have us train with falcons and get used to what that really is like. So then when we'd go in and film it and have Stasha work with a maquette of one. So we had a maquette that would being puppeteered that would land on her hand, but she had already gone through the experience of having an actual falcon on her hand, and we all went through it as well. Now, as Tim's animating it and as she's acting to it and all that stuff, it's like everybody was relating to reality, to what it's like in nature, and then trying to capture that. So just the fact that they go to those extra steps to drive us way the hell out.
That's the research, and we experienced that on a lot of the animated pictures.
Yep.
Where they sent teams of artists on a safari for Lion King, or they Pocahontas. They went to Jamestown and met with actual Native Americans and all of that kind of stuff. I think that's really something that's very special. It's going the extra mile, really, on these.
And then Tim, you always go. I was so happy that I could always depend on you as being the eyes and ears in the field when something was being installed, and you'd send back notes and videos and go, here's how it's looking. Cause I on some of the projects, I have more time for the installation. Sometimes I have less. And for that one, I was just happy that you were actually in the room, tweaking stuff.
Well, I was so focused on being able to do that, and we haven't really gone over the fact that we developed that show, and then at some point it was pencils down, and we had to wait a year for them to finish the facility before we were able to go and install it. So who knows if our team is even going to be alive, much less together a year later.
Wow.
But somehow we made it happen. But in the meantime, I also got sick, and I was laid up in the hospital for like 3 months.
Really?
And,
Which
yeah,
I didn't know about until I saw your documentary, Tim.
Wow.
but I was going to drag my butt out of that bed and go do that show no matter what. But one of the things that we were instilled with in at Sky Falconry when we're experiencing the actual bird flying around is it's a big space, between now and 2 seconds from now, that bird could be half a mile away.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to depict this inside a room. So it was really a challenge to choreograph the animation of this bird flying around within this room and still make it feel believable.
We're bumping up against time, but what I want to say is I want to pick this up next week, starting with the falconry, because I want to talk just a little bit more about that, because I really want the listeners to get a sense of where this facility was and what it's, what you guys were doing. So
Right.
with that, I'm going to say, Jerry and Tim, thank you for being on the Skull Rock podcast.
Thank
Thanks
you
for the party.
Come on, Scotty, let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here, Lieutenant.
And there you have it, Dave. Tim and Jerry show. The Tim and Jerry show. That sounds good.
No, I think it was great. We don't normally have two guests at once, but it's always fun to have two guests at once.
Absolutely. That's just part one. And next week, we'll be back for another section of this amazing interview. And once again, the Tim and Jerry show will continue next week on Skull Rock Podcast. Gang, thank you so much for tuning in to our show. If you love what you heard, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Find us on the social medias. You know where to find us. Links in our show notes. You can check out our entire podcast treasure trove of shows. What is it? 204 episodes now? Something like that. Check it out.
It's crazy. We're fast approaching 300.
That's right. Check it out there at skullrockpodcast.com. It should be really, really cool. And once again, you love what you hear, you can check me out on my other podcast, Dining at Disney Podcast, with new content every single week there. Dining at Disney Podcast, everywhere you find podcasts. You can also follow me on Instagram, Aljon Rocks, and I post a bunch of stuff where we advocate to adopt kitty cats, and we rock out and play guitar and check out great music there at my Instagram, Aljon Rocks on Instagram.
John, as I've been saying for months, we are going to be at the Animation You All Expo in Nashville, April 10th to 12th. Now, folks, if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, I'm telling you, you better get them, because they're going fast. They're expecting there's going to be well over 1,000 animation people at this expo. So check that out. April 10th to 12th in Nashville. We'll be there. We hope to see you there. Also, you can hear me on the Tunes Behind the Tunes on Sirius XM, Disney Hits, Channel 133. During the entire month of March, I am spotlighting the Unbirthday song from Disney's 1951 animated classic, Alice in Wonderland. So check that out. The Tunes Behind the Tunes on Sirius XM, Disney Hits, Channel 133. If you want author signed copies of any of my books, go to theoldmillpress.com. You can also get author signed copies of the newly released The Art of John Canemaker, an animator's garden by John Canemaker, and A Spoonful of Sugar, the story of the Upjohn Pharmacy in Disneyland by Stephen Hall. That's right, Drugs at Disneyland. Check that out. And you can always go to my website, davidbossert.com. There's plenty of free content. There's stuff you can send away for free, bookmarks and signed book plates and things for your books. So check that out at davidbossert.com. And with that, Aljon, it is springtime. Folks, go out and have a fantastic week. Be good to one another. And we'll see you back here next Monday, right here on the Skull Rock Podcast.
Our Disney travel deal of the week. Free dining is back. Yeah, free dining is back. Kristen, tell us all about the free Disney dining plan.
Okay, so it is now available to everyone. You can get the free dining plan if you book a 4-day, 4-night travel company package, which will include a room at one of the Walt Disney World Resort hotels that are included in the promotion, as well as a theme park ticket with the park hopper option. Now, the arrivals for taking advantage of this deal include June 28th through October 3rd, October 19th through the 31st, and December 6th through the 21st. You have until April 30th to book this. So you have about 40 days as of today to book that. So not a long time. If you are staying in either a value or a moderate resort, you will receive the quick service dining plan for free. Now, you can upgrade that and pay the difference if you'd like. Just let me know whenever you contact me. Hey, we want to book Caribbean Beach, but we want the regular dining plan. I'll take care of that for you. Now, if you're staying at a deluxe or a deluxe villa, it automatically comes with the standard Disney dining plan.
All right.
And it is per person per night. Not day, per night.
Okay. Oh, that sounds great. Everybody loves free dining. Take advantage of this deal while you can by booking with Kristen. And where can people email you for this awesome deal and so many more deals on any cruise line you want, including Disney, as well as trips to the Universal Orlando Resort? And Kristen, what email should people email you at?
They can email me at Kristen, Kristen, at magicaljourneystravel.com.